Oh, inspiring.
What's shaking?
What is shaking?
My
what's
keyboard
shaking?
That's
What's shaking is that Dan realizes how old he's getting.
Yeah.
And I was out at a gathering for a friend's birthday yesterday, and I stayed out way too late. Had a couple of drinky poos, and then woke up this morning realizing I am not young. I don't know. Dan's too old for good times.
Too old for good time.
Too old for good times. That's the name of my new book coming out.
Yeah, your autobiography.
Yep. But we are here for a reason, and that reason is Loki.
Yeah.
The finale.
The finale.
Now, do you think this is a season finale or a season's finale? Do you think this is it for the
Series
Loki
finale?
series finale?
I'm kind of feeling like it is, yeah.
Would you be upset if it was?
No. I feel like they ended it on a good vibe.
A good note. I think that time is affecting you because your screen is pausing up quite a bit today.
It's cool. It's cool. Do
you have learned.
I'll try and figure that out.
Yeah, you've definitely
I'm time
learned.
slipping is what I'm doing.
Yes, is exactly what you're doing. You've mastered the ability to stop time.
Yeah,
as well, in a manner.
Mm-hmm.
So everything seems to have worked itself out for now.
I mean, as long as my
beautiful voice is heard,
my mic is good. I'm good.
Right?
It can be weird.
Yeah, definitely at the finale of this season, which I think ended in a most spectacular way.
It did, and you know, as soon as it was happening, I was like, "Oh, Dan was right," because you know.
Yeah, and I think we'll get there.
We will.
All right, but not before some spoilers, because you know, good on you for putting it up before we talk about everything.
I don't think we even talked about. I don't even think we put it up last video. So
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, this is coming out a little bit later than some of the other videos on this topic, so hopefully you've had a chance to watch it. If you haven't, go back and watch it. Fantastic episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where we start with this episode kind of where we left off with the last one, right?
Where did we leave off? Spaghetti? No.
Yeah, spaghetti pretty much. I mean,
repeated Loki, spaghetti?
I think this episode is more repeated spaghetti.
Yeah.
Right?
So
we've
much
got
spaghetti.
Loki going back thinking that he had fixed the problem. Okay. Sends Timely out and he only gets spaghettified again. Right?
And again.
So what do we got? We got Loki realizing that it's going to take a little bit of work.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes through time so many times.
Yeah.
At the very least, he's been going through centuries. Once he finds out that it's going to take that long to find out and learn from not only Obi but Timely about the physics of all of this.
Yeah, he wants to know everything.
Right? Does this make Loki, this version of Loki, one of the more powerful versions of Loki?
Oh, for sure.
You know,
anybody who can mess with time, right? Like, is automatically Omega.
Yeah. The guy has spent centuries, which to the normal person or being would like, this is not, this can't be enjoyable for anyone.
No. Trying to learn a skill that you're not adept at over centuries.
He's in a way doing like the whole Groundhog Day thing.
Yeah.
And how much time does he have really to learn each day? And how much of that time is spent
redoing some things he already did?
Or trying to convince them every day or every time he slips that he's been learning from them.
And You know what though? Because I don't even think he would be trying to convince them. Because even by the end of it, when they're going through repeatedly that the last steps of the process, it's they still don't understand why he knows so much of what he knows. You
Yeah.
know, so
So
he's not telling
Hiddleston.
them, which
No,
is
he's
weird.
yeah. They would think that they would, at the very least, remember teaching him
Except for he
something.
must be going back to before that and then not messing with the timeline as it
Yeah. See, this
was.
is where time gets slippery. Like, yeah. So, like,
This is
I'm gonna
awful.
go back a little bit, and for a good amount of time, he spends time slipping back and
Mhm.
trying to speed up the process so that Timely can get through quicker.
Yeah.
Okay. And Timely gets spaghettified over and over and over again until he finally gets it. And then it
And
works.
that was after centuries of him learning
Yeah.
to do most of the things himself.
Yeah.
And
Like,
then he's
so
just running
we
programs and stuff.
eventually we go back to the point where they meet.
Yeah.
Okay. Where Timely and Obi meet. He kind of tries to push things along quickly, trying to skip steps in the process to save that moment in time, right? And then Hiddleston gets really good. He plays the part of somebody who's been through it that many times to a T.
Yeah.
To the point where he's phrasing things in a way that they were going to phrase it right before they do, or just as they do.
Yeah.
And it's just perfect the way he plays this part, where you really get the sense that I've been through it.
And nobody says anything about it though. They keep giving them
Millions
like
of
side eyes
times.
and stuff.
Yeah.
But they never say anything.
To the
And you
point
would
where,
think that OB, who knew that at one point he was time slipping, would have a thought of, hey,
what's going on here? Like, he's literally a genius, and he's
Yeah.
not catching on about what might be happening. And at this point, Loki has literally become a genius.
well, he would have already been a genius. Like, because any normal brained person wouldn't even be able to like memorize those kinds of skills.
No, but like the knowledge that he has now over centuries is just mind blowing. Like the things that he can do now that he couldn't do before. And we're talking about before the final ending of this too.
Yeah.
Like he's already become one of the more powerful Lokis because of his knowledge and his practice of his time slipping. Right? Because as we find out later, he's kind of mastered a few other things, right? We'll get to that in a few minutes. But the point I'm trying to make is that he's gone through all of these things to try to stop the loom from exploding.
Yeah.
Right. Once that's all said and done, and we'll go to the scene for a minute, back at the model scene, because I thoroughly enjoyed it, where Loki goes, okay, you're this little guy, even though it looks like Mobius, it's you.
Yeah. Just
Right?
throws it out there.
And just the way that everybody plays their part, where Obi's quickly trying to still explain that he hasn't time to paint it or anything like that, but Loki's really trying to push things along, right?
Grabs the thing out of Timely's bag. And then he's like, it's a prototype.
Yeah.
But he's handing it over.
Even going back to the point in that room and talking to Miss Minutes and asking for help.
Yeah.
And Miss Minutes seems just confused.
Yeah. I know you're sad and I know you're angry.
And then I don't, in this episode, I think in this series or season at the very least, I don't know if you can agree with me, but I think that Miss Minutes' story kind of dropped off.
Yeah.
Right. I think that was less satisfying for me. Like I would have liked to see more from Miss Minutes because she was being built up as this almost baddie.
Yeah.
Right?
But then they reset her and that was it.
Yeah. Now, by doing a little bit of research, I found out that episode 5 was a rewrite.
Oh yeah?
They had a outside the box episode planned and it got squashed because it was too out there
Oh.
and it didn't lead to the ending that we get type deal.
Oh.
So there could have been some things planned that were left out, which is what I feel is what happened with Miss Minutes.
That could be.
Right?
But yeah, like regardless of what happened, it felt like she just kind of was
Dropped
left
off.
aside and then that was it.
Yeah. And I think that's a little bit unsatisfying. And I think as far as unsatisfying things go, I think that's about it for this episode.
Yeah, I would say so. Like,
right? I mean, they could have explored a few more things, but I think maybe budget, time, you know, could have gotten in the way.
Just making 6 shows of everything.
Yeah, I mean, just make a little bit longer of a series, right? Could help. But like, you know, it was said that they were going to have possibly this big plan about going back into like different times of the Marvel movies.
Oh yeah.
But that requires star power, right?
Yeah.
And then you got to get all the big guys in.
And the cash.
And you've already got like a fairly good cast for this show to begin with. So
yeah, you really didn't need to do it.
But yeah, so that didn't really turn out to be anything. He goes in there, and I think it's just kind of like a little Easter egg moment type deal where he explores that avenue, but they don't really run with it. And then where are we?
After that, he kind of realizes that I think don't we end up in the old He Who Remains chamber?
Yeah,
where this portion starts, where he's kind of just figuring out that it doesn't matter because the loom expander works and all that jam and
yeah. So I think like before we talk about that is the failure, the grand failure, where everything finally works out as far as Loki plans it, and it works out just perfectly, and the loom still is unstable.
Yeah.
And it's Timely who really kind of points out that we can't adjust for an infinite situation. Because
it's always going to be expanding forever.
Yeah. So you can't have a temporary solution for an infinite situation.
Yeah.
It's always growing. It's forever growing. So then it becomes not a faster, it's sooner.
Yes.
Right? We need to go back and we need to fix things before all this happens, right? So I think he kind of messes around with Sylvie for a bit.
Well, because he talks to Sylvie a bit about it, I think. And then goes back to the point where He Who Remains was killed by Sylvie.
Yeah. He tries a couple different approaches and stuff like that. Ultimately, he needs to stop Sylvie from killing He Who Remains. And then in some manner or fashion, he calls out He Who Remains.
Yeah.
And tries to get him into a conversation. Right?
Yeah.
He Who Remains has planned everything.
Yeah. He knows what's up.
Even the time slipping. Everything so that Loki would be back at this point in time, essentially save him. And there you go. He Who Remains. The whole thing was a failsafe, stating that the loom is a failsafe.
Yeah.
It's meant to explode when it gets too out of hand. The TVA is easily rebuildable.
Yep.
Right? It's a restart button. It's kind of a mind blower type deal.
Well, I mean, that's what this show's been doing the whole time.
Yeah. It's done a great job of it too, though. Like
it has. Never really sure where it was going. Well,
yeah. Well,
other than apparently knowing
in a sense, but
something.
Like the ending of this one was actually really clever. and like spectacular to a point. Like this, the cinematography, the music,
The
what?
acting.
All right, the just the music alone in this episode has been fantastic, spectacular. All right,
That was beautiful.
it just felt so powerful. Like it made scenes feel so powerful, right? So ultimately, the sense is that he needs to kill Sylvie.
Yeah.
Because she's not letting up.
No.
She refuses to let up. Even after when he talks to her in a different setting, before she gets spaghettified, she refuses to not take out He Who Remains.
Yeah.
Right? There's like she's been through hell. She was born in this into war and stuff. She's been running.
She just lived there.
She's been running her whole life. Sometimes it's okay to let things fall apart, apparently.
And she was gonna go for it.
Yeah. So pretty cool. And then he has a sense of like, obviously he doesn't want to take out his friend and possibly someone he loves.
Yeah.
Right. Egotistical bastard.
I only love me as well. So
yeah.
I get it.
If you had a variant of yourself, would that be your true love?
Yeah. But yeah.
I don't know if that's called selfish or what. Like,
well, no one can love you like you can love you.
That's right. That sounded dirty.
But yeah, so he kind of has this idea around the fact that, you know, he's going to destroy the loom because it's fail safe, and you can't really destroy the loom because it's a fail safe. And then He Who Remains kind of gets the idea that maybe Loki's, you know, done some more time research than he thought he did. It seemed like, because of the whole,
he caught him off guard a little.
The stop time kind of caught him off guard.
Yeah. And then he said a few things that, like, He Who Remains seems to have everything scripted.
Yeah.
And there was a few things that Loki said that had him stumped. Yeah. Like, I've never seen this play out before. Right. And when he stops time, it is a powerful scene.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a little thing, but it's so badass.
Yeah. And how do you know we haven't had this conversation before?
Yeah.
It was cool.
Like,
and that's where you kind of get the idea that, you know, maybe He Who Remains doesn't have the omnipotence that he thought he did.
Which is cool. Is a war still coming? For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Right? The Kang War is coming. The Kang Dynasty, it's coming. Right? There's no stopping that, I don't think. Right? But the time that Loki has spent honing these skills, not only did he learn to stop time, he was reversing it.
Oh yeah, he was doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
Like when he was in the scene where everything was spaghettifying, he was reversing that. Everything was going backwards.
Yeah.
Right? So he had learned to control time like completely, which is devastating to begin with. All right. But then when he ultimately decides that he needs to essentially sacrifice himself.
Yeah.
Right. And
which also means, just to throw it back, that, you know, He Who Remains does get to die.
Yeah.
Sylvie gets her vengeance.
It does. She certainly does. But in a way different way than she ever planned to. The transformation that this Loki has had over these seasons is great. In past, all he cared about was a throne and power for all the wrong reasons. Right? Now he blatantly says, the last thing I want is a throne.
Yeah.
Right? But that's what he gets.
And now that's what you're going to get.
Right? But the thing is that it's so selfless. Right? This is not something that Loki, of all people, even knows a little bit about. Selflessness. I don't know about words either. Like, words are hard for me.
Especially I said a
word. I said a big word earlier, and I was like, "Wow, I'm not
even
just
crushing it."
I'm not even going to bring attention to that. Yeah, but Loki realizes that if he's going to do something, he's going to do something. He's got to do something big. And maybe it's letting it explode.
Yeah.
Right?
Or helping it explode.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It was like that whole last portion where, you know, he moves timely out of the way, runs down there, tells Sylvie it's for her, and then
it's
walks out on that.
Kind of like Mobius as well, because they framed both of them in the window there.
Oh, yeah. This is for you thing.
As to say, this is for you and stuff like that. And he's like, I know what kind of God I need to be.
Yeah.
Right.
The God of stories, obviously.
The God of stories.
Yeah.
So he busts through that door, walks down. No. And that's what was like powerful. You're like, how powerful is this guy that everything else is spaghettifying, and he walks out there, and not only does his like outfit start to deteriorate, but he grows a new one.
Oh.
Right? And this outfit is like super fucking cool.
Yeah, it looks amazing. I loved it.
The length of those horns, right, with that crackled gold in it, right, and then that cloak that's not anything like he's ever had before. It more wraps around him.
Yeah.
Right. Just super cool. And then he freaking walks out into nothingness and starts grabbing the timelines
because they're all busted and dying.
Like,
because isn't that what OB says? They're dying.
Yeah. But he grabs them and starts bringing life to them with his magic.
Yeah.
Right. And the strength that it would take to grab those timelines is a godly feat.
Oh yeah. It's stunning.
Right? And he's dragging.
I was trying to find a cool picture of his new getup.
His new getup. Yeah, the horns are just spectacular. Right. But he's slowly fighting to hold on to these and grabbing each timeline, bringing them along with him as he opens up that portal to the end of Earth, or the end of time.
Yeah. And then forms Yggdrasil around himself, the world tree.
Yeah. It's just amazing. Like the finale of this was more than expected, I think.
Fantastic.
All right. All of that step by step, he's going up to that throne as it forms in the crackled gold and stuff. And then he forces it into that world tree, the tree of life, essentially.
Yggdrasil.
Yeah. Okay. Look, it took me 30 years of my life to be able to say Mjolnir.
Meow meow.
Meow meow.
Meow meow.
Mjolnir. Kind of take caps off of drinks before you take a drink. Just a powerful scene. Like,
beautiful.
You have to, like, the power he has at this moment. He is literally.
This isn't a great one, but I mean, this is all I got.
And it's not fantastic.
No, it's grainy.
We make it a little bit bigger by doing. No, maybe not. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little grainy, but that's he is literally like the loom now.
Yeah, well, and his cloak, the cloak that you were talking about, like almost turns into the other pieces of that tree too, right? It peels back and up, and then turns into more branches. I like how they have it sideways, so it kind of looks a little bit like the loom, and then they turn it up to look like that tree, right? And you can see that there's those dark roots that are coming up through that green trunk, and then that purple bluish portion of the tree up there, like just showing how much life is in that, right? Yeah,
it's just fantastic. It's absolutely great. Like, I was just blown away by this.
It's got like I love the hues of the tree. Like, it had some some World of Warcrafty kind of night elf coloring going
Yeah.
on with it, which is fitting to if you know anything about World of Warcraft, I guess. But
Yeah. So the very last part of this episode is where we're seeing kind of how the TVA is presently after this happens. And you can see on the monitor that there's no longer a vertical or vertical or horizontal. It is now vertical.
is it vertical? Vertical.
Yeah. There's no longer like a horizontal stream. It now shows on that screen the tree and how it branches and stuff like that, right? And I mean, we should have known this because of like the phrasing, like branches and pruning.
Yeah.
Like it kind of leads up to this sort of thing, right? You can show that picture if you want. It's a good picture of that helmet or that thing, and that tree in the background. That's a great picture of that. Of the tree. It looks so fantastic, you know. And
yeah.
I just love the Loki we have now.
And the Loki he's like in the center of that tree.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
like
so cool.
It's mind blowing what they've done with this.
Yeah.
Like it's possibly one of the best finales or endings to a Marvel series.
Yeah.
That they've done. As far as I'm concerned.
As far as you're concerned.
As far as I'm concerned. And that's normally what matters. So, yeah, other than that, we get a little bit of a tidbit of what the TVA looks like. They've kind of rebooted Miss Minutes, and they're still afraid of her.
Yep.
Could she try to kill us?
And she may.
Good chance. Good chance. All right. Seems to be, what is it? She's kind of taken like a higher stance at the TVA type deal.
Well, I think she's kind of a boss.
She's definitely a boss. And the way that they run the TVA is a little bit different, you know? Even the signs in the TVA, they now have that tree, like the posters. They have that tree now rather than other symbols and stuff. You've got, can't think of things.
What? They were talking about, I like the part where they were kind of talking about taking down the 3-piece thing of He Who Remains and like how he's subjugated and stuff like that.
I almost expected them to have like kind of a Loki mural thing going on right after that. Like I thought that maybe that those 3 heads in the war room, maybe would have like a Loki and the tree.
Oh yeah,
type deal. That didn't pan out. Not a big deal. But we've got, I can't remember. Is it B what? What's her number?
I don't know.
We've been doing this for like weeks and I can't remember her number.
Why do you need to remember her number? Is everybody just a number to you?
No, but she goes over and talks to Loki. Or no, to Mobius.
Yeah.
And they bring up how there's no real issues with Kangs right now. They mentioned the Kang that was dealt with in Quantumania.
B-15.
Okay. And they just kind of reference that, you know?
Yeah.
Bringing everything to kind of together, right? Saying that there was a bit of an issue, but it was taken care of, right? And then Mobius decides that he's going to, he's offered to come into the war room and have a seat, but he decides he's going to take a break. This is a big thing. He's never wanted to know or look behind the veil.
Yeah.
Right. So he goes back and he looks at these variants of himself with his kids and stuff like that, probably thinking hard about that Sea-Doo.
Yeah.
You know, I'm thinking when he's like, I'm just gonna let time pass for a bit. This is not something that he's never done.
Yeah.
He's always been in a still place where he's never really, time has never moved for him. Right. And I'm thinking he's looking at that Sea-Doo like, I'm gonna go ride that.
Go steal my
right.
Sea-Doo.
Yeah. And then like we get kind of a closure for some other characters and stuff like that too, which I feel
Sylvie comes to hang out with him too there.
Yeah.
And he's looking at stuff.
And I think they're missing Loki at this point.
Yeah.
Right. I don't feel like some of the other characters, there's not a lot of revolution that goes on there. So that's pretty much it. But I feel like we missed a big thing where like you had mentioned it in the other episode, that when he time slips and now he's got so much control over his time slipping, Loki obviously, that he's no longer slipping into time where he sees a variant of himself. He's slipping into himself.
Yeah.
Right? Which is showing the amount of control he's got.
Yeah, I thought that was a really cool touch.
So like I just think that shows the magnitude of his power, right? Again, I can't stop saying how much power this guy's got now.
Power.
Like you want to go a versus with just about anybody right now with him? Like
for Thor.
I'm pretty sure he could kick Thor's butt now.
Probably.
You know?
Just stop time about it.
Yeah. I don't think he's got much to worry about right now. But the thing is that he's actually at a point where he's a different Loki now. So I don't think he has the grudges and stuff. That point where he went back into the first episode of Loki, season 1, and talked to Mobius about how to make these decisions.
Yeah.
Right. And the story that Mobius gives about like, yeah, I mean, this episode had some deep moments.
Yeah.
Like hashtag deep.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if I got much else to say about this episode other than I thought it was great.
I thought it was fantastic.
All right. Fantastic. I think we could probably go into a banana rating at this point.
We could probably. That's bananas.
It is bananas. I'm gonna let you start with this one.
So I was floating. I floated in to an 8.
Yeah, you were at an 8. I was at an 8.5.
And we were kind of just waiting to see this final episode and see if it really.
Hoping that we'd get to maybe a 9.
Yeah,
I think.
And I'm definitely pushing up to that 9. I was intrigued the entire time. I was disappointed that it was over. Like it's over. It was a great episode, a great finale to, if it is a series finale, which I kind of feel like it is. I think they couldn't have done anything better other than maybe touch on Miss Minutes and
maybe like
a few of those other little tiny things,
small things like is it B15 you said? Like B15. her story being a relevant character in the comics.
I'm assuming Renslayer got eaten by
that. See, here's the thing with Renslayer coming, you're gonna have to put down that banana rating thing, you know, because now we're into a topic again. Renslayer, it looks like Elias is there to eat her up. She's obviously in the whatever world where they get pruned. There have been some things said that maybe it's a variant of Kang that is shining that light, because it is his kind of his colors too, and she does not appear worried. She appears like ready to do what needs to be done. So is it the last time we see her? I don't know how you fit her into other properties, like other movies and other seasons.
But she was a general for Kang.
Yeah, and also I believe she might have had some sort of control over Elias.
Yeah,
like she was a huge part in the war, right? So we could see her in other things. Like I know that there has been rumors, maybe even like legit rumors about Mobius being in Deadpool 3.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, because it's going to deal with time too, I think.
Oh right, yeah.
Right? So Mobius is a character I could see over and over again. He's kind of like a Coulson.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. I would agree.
I could see him over and over again. Let's throw that banana back up.
Oh, are you ready?
Because, you know, well, you go and you spark another conversation, you know, just gets me going, you know.
All right. Banana. Are you grabbing a banana right now? I said 9. Go on 9.
You're actually going for the 9, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's the thing, okay? I was thrown off a little bit by this. It was better than I thought it was going to be.
This
Okay.
this episode?
This episode.
Okay.
The ending was spectacular. Okay.
Yeah.
It was a very powerful scene. Like I said earlier, maybe one of the better finales that they've done for any of the seasons that they've had. And that's a big statement right there. Right? But can you remember another series that ended so spectacularly?
No.
So that's where I'm sitting with that. We discussed how a few things could have been tied up. Maybe they felt a little bit left unfinished, like the Miss Minute story. That's the big one.
Yeah.
But I'm going to land on a 9 too, man.
Yeah.
We're going to go for 2 solid 9s on this because it was a good season, but it was a better finale. And it didn't seem, I don't know how long it was, but it didn't seem super short.
It didn't seem short, but I don't know. I didn't check to see. I
didn't either, but I felt satisfied. You know? So what does that mean?
Huh? They were 9s. We had 9s.
I thought it said Grimm's them 9s.
Grimm's them 9s. No, that's not what I said at all. That'd be weird.
Them 9s. 9s is a good score. Double 9s is a great score. I don't know if 10s are possible.
I don't even know when. Like, have we given a 10 for anything?
I don't know. We'll have to look back. Maybe I have, because I'm a pushover. You know what I mean?
We'd have to look back, but
yeah,
I'm
doesn't matter. This is a great score for a great season, and a great finale. Season 1 or season 2 for you?
Ooh, that's tough. Like overall,
because I mean, you can't have a season 2 without a great season 1. I just. And
season one was amazing, and I mean, like, all the way through, I felt great about season 1, right? So I'm probably gonna have to give it to season 1, even though the finale of this one was a banger.
Yeah, but there were moments where you were like,
where I was like,
all right, and the time thing has just been confusing at times. Yeah. Right. But it all came together very nicely. They did a good job of going back and forth and making it cohesive.
Yeah.
Right. So great job with
you. You didn't even answer your own question. You just throw it out there.
I kind of just did. All right.
Season 1 then. Okay.
I would say I would go season 1 all over. But not giving any discredit to this season and this finale. Fantastic.
Of the seasons, this was probably the best episode.
Yeah. No doubt in my mind. So awesome, guys. Check us out on all of our social medias. Watch our shows, please. All right, that sounded like begging.
Please
do it. No, we have fun no matter what. But you know, we love you. Comments, like, hit the bell thing. If I'm forgetting anything, yada yada.
Yada yada. Ridiculous. Can't just yada yada out of it.
I yada yada a lot of things. Sometimes I yada yada a lot of important stuff.
You know, that reminds me of that Seinfeld episode.
Yeah.
Where they yada yada yada.
Yeah, you can't yada yada over important parts.
That's great.